This meeting of the zoning administrator on the December 21st, 2023 agenda date to order at 3 p.m. My name is Chris Schmidt. I'm a senior associate planner for the city, and I'll be serving as the zoning administrator today. And I'd like to ask recording secretary Erica Barrera to announce the city staff members present.
Sure. We have our planning manager, Levi Hill. As Chris Schmidt stated, he is serving as our zoning administrator, and he's also our senior associate planner. We have senior associate planner Christy Sabdo, associate planner Matthew Buggart, and myself, recording secretary Erica Barrera.
Great, thank you. And for now, we would like to open up the public comment section of the agenda for items not on the agenda. Could you let people know if they're online, how they're able to speak?
Sure. Information on participating in this meeting and providing public comment, including remotely by Zoom or telephone, is on this meeting's agenda, which is online at isearchmonterey.org. Remote commenters will be muted until it's their turn to speak, and a timer will be shown on the screen. If you're connected on Zoom, the timer is accurate with no delay. In the chamber, we recommend keeping phones and devices muted to prevent audio interference with the meeting. Thank you for participating in your city government.
Thank you very much. And next we'll go on to the consent agenda. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, would anybody like to speak during the public comments section for items not on the agenda?
I see no hands raised online.
Anybody in the chamber? Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. There's one item on the consent agenda. This is the approval of the minutes. I had served as the zoning administrator for the meeting and reviewed the minutes and have no changes, so I will approve the consent agenda. So moving on, I'd like to reorder the agenda here. So we'll start with item number 4. And do we have any comments from staff on item number 4?
Yes, thank you. Item number 4, due to staff is awaiting additional information from the applicant, and we have not received that yet. So staff is recommending that item be tabled.
Okay, so I will vote to table that item. We will not be receiving a staff presentation or opening up the item for public comment today. So if anybody is at the meeting or online and you'd like to provide additional public comment, you can certainly do so by sending it to the city planning office by email or in person. The email address would be planning@monterey.org.
Chris, can you let the public know what item 4 was?
Yes, so item 4, thank you. Item 4 is consider 384 Larkin Street use permit application UP 230145 for 4 or more residential units. The applicant is Paul Davis. The owner is Mike Bruno. It is zoned R3, et cetera.
Will they table it?
Yes.
Do I have a chance to just say something?
We're not opening it up for public comments. So if you have public comments, you can submit them to the city planning office. There will be a subsequent hearing where new notices will be sent.
I'll be notified.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I don't have to mow down. I'll leave them.
Okay, moving on to item number 3. Consider 480 Calle Principal use permit application UP 230068 to allow conversion of an existing 2-story commercial office building into a residential building with 11 apartment units. Applicant Ray Parks with Ray Parks and Associates Incorporated, property owner Hugo H. and Linda Truss, PCD zoning district. Commercial general plan designation exempt from secret requirements per Article 19, Section 15301, Class 1. Do we have a staff report?
Yes.
Thank
you, Zoning Administrator Schmidt. My name is Christy Sabdo. I am Senior Associate Planner with the City of Monterey. I'll be presenting on 480 Calle Principal use permit application to allow conversion of existing 2-story commercial office building into a residential building with 11 apartment units. Staff's recommendation is that the zoning administrator adopt a resolution approving the use permit application. The site has a commercial land use designation. The zoning is PCD, which means it's in the downtown specific plan. It's located in downtown in the Alvarado district between Calle Principal and Pacific Street. It fronts on both of those streets. So again, it's within the downtown specific plan. There are different districts within the specific plan, and this property is in the Alvarado district. Within the Alvarado district, residential uses are conditionally permitted on the first floor along Calle Principal, subject to a use permit, and are permitted on floors above the first floor. So I'm just going to share a few pictures. This is along the Calle Principal frontage. This is along the Pacific Street frontage. And I was able to take a tour with the applicant and property owner, and I just wanted to share the beautiful interior courtyard that all of these units will have access to. The proposed project is the conversion of the first and second floor of an existing office building into 11 apartment units with their own bathroom, kitchen, and laundry. Unit 1 is a 2-story unit. There is a spiral staircase that connects the first and second story of that unit. And as I showed you, there is an interior courtyard available for those units. And some of the units on facing the north end, they have balconies and patios. So here's an existing site plan. The green is just showing the outdoor planters and then some of the plantings on the interior courtyard. This is just showing the previous layout of the office uses. And here's the proposed site plan. The trash enclosure is located on the area that's in between the building to the north and the existing building here. This is the only location that trash enclosure could be located, given all of the requirements for all the receptacles, all the sizes that were needed. This planter is going to remain, and there's going to be patios on the lower floor and balconies above on this side. I don't need to get too much into the architectural review because they did apply for an architectural review permit, but just wanted to kind of give you a lay of the land here. The recycling and waste enclosure, as I said, is located in this walkway here. And as you see it from the Calle Principal frontage, this is what it's going to look like, and it's going to have a gate at the entrance here. Here are kind of the sizings that are required. It was reviewed by our sustainability staff. It's in compliance. The lower floor will have 6 residential units. And as you can see, this is residential unit 1 with the spiral staircase. That's the 2-story. So you can see that as well on the second floor. And then there were 5 other units on the upper floor. So going through the use permit findings, the project is zoned PCD in the downtown specific plan. The proposal is consistent with goal 2 of the specific plan, which states create a mixed use neighborhood. The project would involve conversion of commercial to residential within a predominantly commercial area, contributing toward the goal of creating a mixed use neighborhood. The downtown specific plan allows up to 100 dwelling units per acre in Alvarado district. The maximum allowable units at the subject site would be 17. While the applicant is only proposing 11 apartment units. The downtown specific plan requires a use permit for residential on the first floor for properties along Calle Principal. The applicant has applied for a use permit, and that's why we're here today. The uses on above the first floor are permitted. The downtown specific plan requires 0.5 spaces per unit, resulting in a parking requirement of 5.5 or 6 parking spaces for the project. The downtown specific plan allows alternative ways to satisfy the parking requirement because, as you can see, the building takes up the majority of the site. There is no room for parking. So staff has added a condition of approval 2, requiring this alternative way of providing the parking requirement to be met. Oh, sorry. And inclusionary zoning ordinance also applies to projects of 6 or more units. These projects are required to contribute to the city's housing goal for moderate income and low income housing. 20% or 2 of the 11 apartment units proposed for this project would be required as inclusionary units. And that is special condition 2. I'm sorry, the parking is special condition 1. Use permit finding 2, that the proposed use and the proposed conditions under which it would be operated or maintained would be consistent with the general plan and not detrimental to public health, safety, and welfare. So the general plan land use designation is commercial. The general plan states that commercial areas are a primary source of new housing for mixed use or apartment developments. The project is primarily located in a commercial area. And again, converting a commercial office into apartment units would be consistent. The maximum allowed residential density per the general plan would be 30 dwelling units per acre. However, higher density projects may be allowed under certain circumstances. And under the downtown specific plan, it allows 100 units, dwelling units per acre. And the maximum allowable on the site therefore would be 17. The proposal is for 11. The proposed use and the conditions under which it would be operated, maintained, will be consistent with the general plan and would not be detrimental to the public health, safety, or welfare of persons residing or working in the area. The proposed use will be required to comply with all conditions for the proposed use. There are 3 special conditions of approval and also standard conditions of approval. The first recommended condition is that the applicant shall obtain an architectural review permit for the proposed exterior alterations. The applicant has already applied for one. Staff is finalizing the architectural review. There was a resubmittal recently. Condition of approval 2 is that prior to issuance of a building permit that the applicant satisfy the parking requirement. And there were 3 alternative ways they could do this through the downtown specific plan. And pursuant to the Monterey City Code, that low and moderate income housing requirements shall be satisfied, and they shall enter into an affordable housing benefit agreement with the city. And then it shall be recorded at the Monterey County Recorder's Office. Staff recommends that the zoning administrator adopt a resolution approving a use permit application to allow conversion of the existing 2-story commercial office building into a residential building with 11 apartment units. Staff is available for questions, and the applicant is here, and my understanding is that the owner of the adjacent building is also here.
Thank you, staff. My only question is if the staff has, and it's probably a question for the applicant as well, discussed which parking option they're leaning towards.
I believe it's the in lieu, but it would be appropriate question for the applicant, yes.
Okay, thank you. Would the applicant like to speak?
Hi, all. I'm Ray Parks. Totally agree with all the staff report. We've read it. This project's been more complicated than expected. But there's such a need for housing. We worked through it. I know there's an issue about the trash enclosure. We've tried to comply with the city's regulations. There's no other way to do it but what we have on paper. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer them. And the one question is, at this point, we haven't had the time to really analyze all of the different options for parking, so we'll get back to you. And here to answer any other questions you got.
Okay, I have no other questions.
Okay.
Thank you. And now would be the time to open it up for public comment. Erica, could you remind the public how to join the meeting again?
Sure. Once again, information on participating in this meeting and providing public comment, including remotely by Zoom or telephone, is on this meeting's agenda, which is online at isearchmonterey.org. Remote commenters will be muted until it is their turn to speak, and a timer will be shown on the screen. If you're connected on Zoom, the timer is accurate with no delay. And today's ZA webinar ID is 160-666-5889. Thank you. There are currently no attendees online.
Okay, would anybody in the chamber like to speak? Please approach the podium. Thank you.
My name's Nick Kraft. My wife and I own the building next door. And my primary concern involves the walkway, of course. It's been open and used by the public for probably 70 years. And I don't want to see it blocked off where they can't use it. I understand there's a trash issue. They've got to have a place to put the cans and such. But if you put them on both sides of the walkway, it seems to impede the traffic flow. And the second exit from my building is in that walkway. That would be an emergency exit. And anybody using that would be hindered by gates and trash enclosures, unless we keep it all open. Also, the people moving in and out of the apartments, I noticed there are a bunch of doors on the side for the different apartments. They have to move their furniture in, and it might be difficult for them. And I don't know if they would use that as an entrance and exit. I just want to make sure if the gates aren't locked, if they end up requiring to put the gates in. And I don't know how tall the garbage enclosures are. I don't want them to block the windows in my building, which some come down, I think, below 3 feet. Sometimes the existing tenant we have in the space right adjacent to 480 has handicap students, and they would have to exit that way in an emergency. And I don't want them to be restricted from being able to move out. I'm not paying attention to this. I don't know if I have to or not. But that's about all I have to say. Okay, thank you.
Are there any other public comments?
There are still no attendees online.
Okay, I will close public comments. And then I do actually have another question for the staff. Is there any sort of easement in this alleyway location to the benefit either of the public or the neighbor?
No, we received the title report. There are no easements on the property.
Okay. Well, at this time, I'll open it up for the zoning administrator deliberation. I do have a couple of comments. Typically, when we regarding parking, typically when the city allows off-site parking, applicants are required to enter into a parking agreement with the city. So I'd like to amend that condition. Condition number 2, below the A, B, and C, simply add that the applicant shall either pay in lieu parking fees or enter into a shared parking agreement with the city of Monterey to meet the parking requirement. And then I'd also like to add a special condition number 4, that the applicant may choose to alter the site plan to at the architectural review phase to either change the configuration of the parking enclosure to improve access or not really.
Do you mean waste enclosure?
Excuse me, what did I say? Yeah,
Parking enclosure.
parking enclosure. Yeah, waste enclosure. Thank you. I hear the concerns of the neighbor at this point. You know, there's no easement at that location for the public, so it's true. It really is up for the applicant to decide what goes in that location. So with that, you know, I do find that this project does meet the findings of the required findings for a use permit. The project is consistent with the objectives of the downtown specific plan, which was amended to allow both first and second floor residential in the Alvarado area at this location. In addition, the staff does not find that this would result in a detriment to the surrounding area. It is consistent with the general plan and would not be detrimental to properties or improvements in the vicinity. And then lastly, the proposed conditions would allow the project to be consistent with said findings. So With that, the staff approves that condition, or excuse me, this project. This project is appealable to the planning commission with forms found in the planning office or online. The appeals go to the city's planning commission within 10 days, if I had said that.
And just for clarification for the record, the condition regarding the waste enclosure, that was a not a requirement to revise the site plan.
Right.
An allowance to explore that option,
Right,
correct?
the use permit does not need to be reopened.
Thank you.
With that, I do not have any other comments, so I will close the meeting at 3:20 PM.